Brian Palaviro Far here with Anton Krupicka before the UTMB. How are you, Tony?
I'm well, yeah.
You came over a couple weeks early for this.
Yeah, I mean, I've obviously been paying attention to this race since 2007, kind of when I think like Carl and Hal and Scott came over, and it's the Americans that kind of have a rough time over here, and so I just wanted to make sure that I did everything I could to maximize my chances of doing well. So yeah, I've been here 2 weeks now.
So you think people not showing up early enough is part of the lack of success for the American men?
Geez, I mean, I don't know. I think the biggest thing is that it's late in the year. Like, I feel myself even sort of like, I haven't raced once this summer, but I think people come in tired a lot of the time. You know, it's the last day of August, and usually people have done a 100-mile race already. And, I think that's probably the biggest factor. But then, yeah, there's a lot going on, you know, just the language and having everything dialed in. So, yeah, I just wanted to make sure I was comfortable here.
Nice. I assume for the past 2 of those weeks you've had some fun up in the mountains. What have you done out there?
Yeah, so pretty much the day we got here, Joe and I went for a run up Brevant, but then the next day we started a 3-day tour around the hill, and it was good. You know, we went from here to Courmayeur the first day, and then Courmayeur to Champay, and Champay to the finish. So kind of a 45-mile day, and then 2 marathon days, sort of.
How did those feel?
Really good. I was sort of surprised at the non-technical nature of the course.
Yeah.
It's sort of like Western with another 10,000 feet of climbing. You know, that's sort of like
or a buffed out hard rock at low elevation.
Yeah, exactly. So not even hard rock at all. But but yeah, that's the yeah, because it has a 32K or whatever vert, but it's super smooth, pretty wide trails most of the time. A lot of running, a lot of long gradual downhills. I was glad that I'd started doing more running in the second half of the summer to be ready for this, because there'll be hiking for sure, but you're gonna need to have running legs too. So,
yeah. Speaking of which, we just ran out part of the beginning of the course. People are going to go to Les Houches 5 miles in 28 minutes or something.
Well, that's about my 5-mile PR.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a 100-mile race, and you know, at Leadville the first 5 miles are downhill, and we'd probably run low 7s there. And here, that's probably what I'll be doing the first 5 miles. I'm not gonna run low 6s like I'm sure the leaders will be, because at the end of the day it's like, okay, there's 5 minutes there, which by the top of Voza you caught up, you know, because it's the 2,500 foot climb or whatever. So I'm just gonna try and be smart. You know, if I could have an ideal day, it would be to basically run sort of kind of the style of race I had at Speed Goat over 100-mile distance, of like, you know, be moving up all day, and then the last third just really, or last quarter of the race from Champagne, basically be ready to go hard and catch people.
You got a lot of really smart, patient, experienced runners in there. You got the Miguel Eras and Julian Chaurier, who know how to, and Seb, who know how to really race full 100 miles.
Sure.
And people like Jonas Boot, who just ran Comrades and was, I don't know, 30s, 50s, halfway through, or well into the race, and then moved up to second. Like, can you be that patient?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
No, definitely. It's mental discipline, and that's, I think that's the huge thing over here, is everyone gets so excited about the race that everyone just goes wild the first, maybe 30, 40, 50K. And, you gotta remember it's 160K, well, 168, I guess. It's like over 100 miles. And you know, like 2010 at Western States that year, having Jeff beat me at the end there, I've just had a different mentality about how you need to race 100 miles now. And it's like, really be ready to charge the last quarter. You know, the last 20 miles, that's where the racing begins. Until then, it's just kind of like managing yourself and being sure you get there as fresh as possible. So yeah, I plan on being conservative and hopefully get at the end.
So if people are following along in the States all day long, it's 6, 8, 9 hours earlier, you're back in 30th or 40th at Saint-Gervais, or they call it the mean.
Oh, yeah, Saint-Gervais. Yeah, I mean, Saint-Gervais, it's a road race until Saint-Gervais.
Yeah.
Like, it's, yeah, totally. That early in the race, I'll be back there, I'm sure.
Yeah. That's to be expected.
But, once we hit Bonhomme and Col de la Seine, it's the middle of the night, and you're hiking up these passes, I expect to be in the mix for sure.
Yeah, so by Courmayeur
Courmayeur, get to Courmayeur feeling good, and then
you got a nice climb out of there.
Bretonne's nice, Grand Col Ferret is long and gradual. It's cool. It's a cool course. I'm excited about it.
Yeah. One big variable is, you've done some racing like at Transvolcania, or
I haven't.
No.
Yet.
Sorry. But you, the aid stations, the food, like what's going to be expected, like aid stations in American races.
Sure.
What have you looked into what they're going to have out there and what you think you can actually eat on the course? 'Cause that's a huge part of the 100 miles.
It is. But we're carrying a pack, and there's crew spots where I'll see Joe, and he'll be handing me gels. I mean, I know my stomach's never been a huge issue in ultras. It's always just kind of like gels and chomps and sometimes Coke if things are going bad, and they have Coke at aid stations here. So gummy bears, it's fine. The Cavals last year, I had some Coke and gummy bears when I ran out of gels, and everything worked out.
Gotcha. So there's something that's going to fit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be eating like prosciutto and cheese.
No dark chocolate on the course.
Probably not. But it's just not necessary, I don't think.
Yeah. Having now been around the course, I assume you're still sticking with no poles.
Yeah, I can't imagine using poles in this course. It's a running course.
Yeah.
Like it's, I mean, there's going to be a lot of hiking going on, but it's not hard rock at all.
Yeah.
It's hard rock. I wouldn't use poles, but I can see why people do use poles. Here there's a lot of running. It would just be such a pain to be like stowing them and taking them out.
And you have to carry the entire time. And like say, Leadville, you could go over the whole pass once, but
right,
then
and
you
then drop them. Yeah. No, for me, poles. I use poles a lot in the winter because it's more of a footing issue. I feel like, and here you're on perfect buff trail the entire way, so it's poles would be efficient for me. Yeah.
Obviously, there's a ton of depth here, dozens of top runners. Yeah. Who are those 4 or 5 that you expect to be charging after or charging with those last 20 miles?
That's what I was going to say. The guys that I expect to be there when push comes to shove, from after Champay basically. Jonas for sure. I think people don't really think about him. The guy was second here last year, crushed at Comrades and World 100Ks. I think he'll be tough. It just depends. Seb, Miguel, if he's feeling healthy. Julien, of course. I think Timmy is going to run really well. Mike Foote, ready to go, I'm sure. I mean, these are the guys I expect to be there at the end.
Somebody like Timothy, he's raced a bunch of real high-level races and done really well. I mean, Tarawera, Transvolcania, Western States. Can he still have something in, it's emotional and physical?
I mean, you have to ask him, but I think he's probably in a good headspace right now. He's been here I think pretty much as long as Joe and I have been. He actually, when we got to Courmayeur, when we were going around the mountain, he and his wife Krista were in Courmayeur, and Joe ran with them the second day to Champay, and then they did Champay to the finish as well. So he's seen most of the course too, and I think Tim's ready to run for sure.
Gotcha.
Who knows? I mean, how the legs feel like 125K is different than they have feel at 50K, or so. We'll see.
At least the last couple of days you've been staying with Nuria Pia Gus, yes?
Yeah, the last 2 weeks.
The last 2 weeks, yeah. Okay. It's her first 100 miler. What advice have you given her?
Well, it's funny. Nuria is she's a professional athlete. She's really dialed. She has like a nutritionist and a coach and all these things, and she's seen the whole course. She's gotten around the hill, and my main thing I've been telling her is just being conservative and not getting caught up in the hype. She's super strong. I think she should be the odds-on favorite, especially since Lizzie's pulled out now. But I think she's just going to have to be really patient and calm through the night, so yeah. But she's so tough. I don't know. She's really. I think she'll do well.
Nice. Well, best of luck to you out there. And
thanks, Ryan.
Great seeing you here.
Yeah, cool.
Cheers.